Only 90s kids will remember this. Before you stands a broken woman. A woman who was born in 1998 and does not understand a majority of the 90s meme culture. Only 90s kids will remember this is this really big meme where they pretty much just post a picture of, normally it's just some cartoon that aired in the 90s and was kind of popular. If you don't remember it, it must be because you're not from the 90s. Isn't that clever? Got a couple bones to pick with this movement. So to start off with, there's no logic in it. They make it seem like the 90s is a generation, like millennials are a generation, and that's like the 70s, 80s, 90s. Like it's like later 70s till like 1996. So I'm like technically not a millennial. That big group of people should all remember those kind of things when they're growing up. They don't say only millennials will remember this, they say only people in this 10-year gap will remember this. Because there's some things where it's like, have you ever seen a corded phone with a cord on it? You're from the 90s. My family still has a corded phone with the spirally things on it, and I don't know, it's not that interesting. It's not just from the 90s. I saw this meme the other day and it was like, only 90s kids will remember the 20th Century Fox logo. Like the sound of it, but the sound hasn't changed at all in the last like 20 years. I think also people are just starting to get like fake nostalgic now, and I think it's because of the fact that like 1999 to 2000, that seems like such a big leap in our brains. One is such a bigger number because now it's got the word thousand in it. I think they're trying to make us feel old with it. They're trying to say like, you are so old, only you remember this. Anybody before the 90s has already died because they're so old. Nobody is alive from before the 90s. So people that grew up in the 60s, like my father, maybe I'll get in trouble for saying that, I don't know, sorry dad. But like people that grew up in those earlier time periods, like I have aunts who were born in the 50s, like they're still totally alive. They're not like old, and yet we have this 90s movement and we just treat it like we're so old. I just really don't like the 90s meme culture. That is pretty much what I'm trying to say with this. Oh, and then I have one more point to make, which is that a lot of this meme culture is about if you watched cartoons in the 90s. Obviously, I didn't watch cartoons in the 90s because I was like 2. I did not watch cartoons as a kid, like not on TV. Like I watched Winnie the Pooh. Here, I'll show you. This is what I watched, and it's Halloween, so I've got my Frankenpoo out right now. I didn't watch Brave the Cowardly Dog, I think that's his name. Courage. I didn't watch Rugrats. I don't really think of cartoons as like the be all and end all for like whether you should be able to remember things from your era. I do know that a lot of people will be like, this episode of the show scarred me, and I'm like, okay, and they're like, nostalgia, right? You liked the fact that you were scarred for life from this one episode that was banned in 6 countries because they still like we're working on how to make cartoons be like totally kid friendly. So yeah, that's kind of what bugs me about the 90s nostalgia movement. It's like it makes you feel old. I would say 70% of it is based off of cartoons. It's just so stupid. I'm happy for you if you enjoy looking at these memes, but I also just want you to be really aware of the fact that you are probably making yourself feel old subconsciously, because I had to deal with this. Like I had to sit myself down and say, Sarah, you're not old. Final thought, if you're born in the 90s, then you are like the opposite of old and you cannot complain about being old. But other people not from the 90s can still watch those shows. It's called YouTube. You can go on YouTube and watch anything. That's it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed my long rant. Like, subscribe, comment why I'm totally wrong on this issue and why I should have my 90s status revoked. Lay it on me. I'm ready. Okay, this is Sarah is Singing signing out.